Oh, the skills trade gap. Anybody struggling with this? How many folks are struggling with this? Are you guys awake? Raise your hand if you're not here. This is a big deal right now. We're not having any luck finding skills trade people. They're few and far between. I've shown this slide before. Last year you saw this slide. This is an updated one, goes to 2019. You can see this is a company called Scientific Management, and they do a mechanical aptitude test. And this is every score they've ever had. As you can see, we're not getting smarter. Now, that's only part of the story. This is the accidental death rate in the United States since 2019. What do you notice? If you eat Tide Pods, that's a problem. We're laughing, but the data shows we're not as smart as we used to be, and we're dying because of it. So how do we erase that gap? In my opinion, there's two things we have to focus on. One is we have to make the machine smarter. It needs to give us indicators. It needs to tell us the instructions. It needs to take us to a video. Because the next generation, that's how they operate. I should say this generation, because they're coming into the workforce now. The second thing is we have to build machines that require a lower skill set. It should be whole assemblies that get replaced, not dig down into individual parts. We have to build equipment more modularly. Skills trade is going to get redefined as the ability to Google. This makes it more critical than ever for you to capture the data inside EAM today, because the knowledge is disappearing. It's going to be gone. We have to capture that information inside EAM if we want to be able to make a difference. The future is going to be not only augmented reality, but even things like a PPE check. If I walk into an area that requires a hard hat and the hard hat doesn't sense it's on my head based on my badge and a chip in the hard hat, guess what? Door doesn't unlock. I won't be able to enter a confined space if my badge doesn't have the fact that I have a confined space qualification. The hatch won't open. So the technologies have a lot more use than just the initial branding that's coming out now. And I think we'll see that in the future. Oh, no. This is the worst part, right? This is the hardest part. But this is the part that you can impact immediately today. And you need to, because this is a requirement for the technology to be successful. Culture beats everything else. I'm going to bring up the graphic we saw a little while ago and do a timeline of some technologies. Here's the advancement in technology and our knowledge and skill. The technologies have existed for quite some time. Yet we still are not reliable at the plant. So what's the difference? Is it the next technology that comes out that's finally going to solve the problem? No. We have to couple the technology with people skills. So how do we truly succeed? We have to set our ego aside, we have to focus on our culture, and we have to prepare the current system for the future that has already begun. Let's talk about setting our ego aside. This is where I grew up. These are the street signs that were in front of my house that I stole. That now sit in my basement. You can ask my daughter, where you at, AJ? Right there. These are hung up on my wall in the basement. Philadelphia, inner city Philadelphia. When you grow up in inner city Philadelphia, you're not very rich. You're poor. You grow up really, really poor. This is the house I grew up in. It looked like that my whole childhood. Nothing was ever remodeled in that house. Single mother raising 3 kids. The most she ever made in her entire life in a single year was $11,000. So you got to be humble. You've got to toss your ego aside. You're not better than anyone else in the plant, and they're not any better than you. You have to treat the people that clean the floor better than you treat the leadership team. Don't judge others. If you're looking for recognition, forget it, throw it away. That doesn't belong anywhere. And give credit to everybody else for everything you do. Demonstrate you're a human and show empathy. I'm going to demonstrate that I'm a human right now. Yesterday I gave a presentation, and I'm not a EAM implementer. We do a lot of work for a lot of different clients that use a lot of different systems. And when I build decks, I take slides from here and slides from there. And yesterday during my presentation, there was a slide that passed through my editing process and made it to the deck. And it's embarrassing. And part of being human is recognizing that you have the integrity to stand up and apologize for a mistake. And so, Tony, to your team that spent a significant amount of time ensuring a flawless presentation, I apologize. For everyone that may have seen that, I apologize, because I know you came here for a very specific reason and to support a very specific system. For the folks that work for Hexagon, for the entire team that put the Streamline event together, thanks for having enough trust in me to do the work that I do, and also for understanding that I am a human. And if you're a people person and a leader, you have no issue doing that. Because now it's past me. I spent all day yesterday beating myself up. Ask her. But now it's gone. I can't affect anyone else's reaction to my apology. It's gone. Now, growing up in the inner city, and when I say inner city, I don't know if anybody's ever seen videos of the Kensington section of Philadelphia, but that's where I went to high school. What you're seeing on the screen over here is Mastbaum Area Vocational Technical School, which is 3 blocks away from Kensington and Allegheny in Philadelphia, where all the zombies are. They just rock on the street. That's where I went to high school. Right around the corner from that is a middle school called Conwell. I went to middle school there. And being a people person, building relationships was always important to me. This guy in the upper left-hand side, Mr. T, Mr. Tompkins, he was the soccer coach. When I was in 6th grade, his wife had a baby girl. So what did I do? I took a 6-pack of beer, put it in a brown paper bag, wrapped it up, took it on the train, public transportation, because that's how I got to school every day, and took it into school and put it on his desk. Now, that was a different era back then. I don't think today your middle school yearbook would say, "George, thanks for the 6." Culture is about people. The definition of culture is a set of shared values and attitudes and practices that create and characterize an organization. These are supposed to be defined by leadership. But if leadership defines them, why isn't the culture reflective of leadership? If all they do is have to define it and the culture exists, then why is there a delta? Well, there's a disconnect. Leadership is setting visions and goals, but oftentimes middle management is not disseminating that appropriately. Now, this is not an all-encompassing example by any means, but this is pretty common for me to go into a facility where middle management is not appropriately getting things to the shop floor. We have supervisors that were promoted from the shop floor but given no training whatsoever in how to be a supervisor. And so they're not disseminating information. So there's this gap that exists, and we have to close that gap. Culture is defined not only by the organization setting a vision, but it's actually by the actions that take place that support that vision. If you walk your plant floor and don't pick up every piece of trash you see, you are setting an example. If you walk the plant floor and pick up every trash you see, you are setting an example. You are defining where your bar is. The actions set the tone that set the culture. I was responsible for a plant out in Irvine, California, and we took a line that was on pace to deliver 17 million bags a year, and in 6 months got it up to a pace at 40 million bags a year. And this line had struggled for 5 years. In 6 months, we almost tripled its output. Then the site said, well, we got this. We don't need your help no more, George. Go away. Flush. MTBF. A few months later, their numbers were tanked. And I get a phone call, and a gentleman named Roger, we're going to call him Roger because that was what his name was. He calls me up and he said, comes out there, Irvine, California, he says, I want you to walk the line with me. And we walked the line. And as we walked the line, they had automatic lubricators on all these conveyance systems. All the lights are red. No one's changing any of the batteries. There's no lubricant in them. We walked by a forklift, parked, no one near it, and the forks are off the ground like 18 inches. I'm talking to Roger, we're standing at a reject bin that's filling up, and he's just gonna let it hit the sensor, and I'm not that guy, so I move the product out of the way so it can accumulate more. We talked there for a while, and it was gonna hit the sensor again, and I again moved it out of the way, but I waited to see if he was going to do it. We went a bunch of other places and saw a bunch of other things. And at the end of the tour, Roger said, okay, George, what can I do in 6 weeks to turn this back around? And I said, nothing. And he said, what do you mean? I said, the line lacks leadership, Roger. The problem is you. As you can imagine, he loved that idea. He was very appreciative of the feedback. And they continue to struggle. They have a bunch of Fanuc robots that pick and place, moving product off a chain and put it back on a chain. Extremely delicate operation. When I first went to the line, one of the issues they were having that I discovered was they had bad quality air. And so they were getting moisture inside Festo valves, and the robot ends up slightly slow. And that deteriorates over time. So they were dropping bags on the floor. And after every batch, when they would do the line clearance, at that particular company, if you were director level or above, you had to wear a suit and tie, and I was in a suit and tie, on my hands and knees, pulling bags under the line. Because it's not the operator's fault. I own the line. Why would I make them do it? When I first started doing that, all the maintenance people were standing around while the operators do it. I stopped that practice pretty quick. Nope, operators, you stand. Maintenance, you pick it up. It's your problem that it's happening. Feel the pain, solve the problem. And we solve the problem. Your actions matter. Where you set the bar matters. Where is your bar? My bar is here. I can barely reach it. And I attempt every day to reach it. And I fall short all the time. But the bar's there, it's not here. And in any company I have worked in, that's the bar. And if you live your life every day where your bar is, it becomes contagious. That's how you influence people. Set your bar high, make it visible, make it noticeable. People will react to it. The question becomes, who is setting the bar inside the organization? Because someone is setting it. And it may be very low. The technology that you're looking at and implementing and trying to grow with as an organization has to support a culture that understands it, supports it, and allows it to be successful. Otherwise, you have installed something, not made a difference. And we have to make a difference. Don't ever try to be the leader. The only way to become a leader is for other people to decide you are one. You don't get that option. Your title doesn't entitle you to it. Your actions will determine how other people feel about you. And that's what matters. So the last word on culture, like a culture of excellence improves plant performance. The technology has to support the growth of the culture, the evolution of the culture. They have to go hand in hand. And while this presentation is on what a reliable future looks like, the reason I focused about a third of it on people is because it makes a difference. You cannot lose sight of the people aspect of a reliable plant and expect the technology alone to solve the issues. They have to support each other. Now, you've got an amazing day ahead of you. You're going to see some incredible presentations and get some amazing ideas around how to best implement EAM and utilize technologies that support its functions. That's exciting stuff. Take advantage of every minute you have here. Network with folks, learn as much as you can, and then in your head, figure out how best to make the stepped evolution to what a reliable future looks like. It's not going to happen overnight. Well, technically it is, because that's the future from right now. And so it's going to take some stepped approaches to get there. But you should be excited. You're living in an amazing moment in technology evolution. Not only is the world flat, but now all the devices are going to be flat. They talk to each other now, where in the past everything was proprietary language. That's starting to unlock. You're living in a moment where you can apply technology to add actual business value. Focus there, focus on people, focus on how that technology can support what you're doing every day. And I wish you a lot of luck, because this is, it's pretty exciting. So a reliable future. Implement where they're best suited to support your business. Prepare the future by making sure you enter the data into the system. Build it right. Use as much of it as you possibly can, because it's not going to be long. 5 years from now, you're going to wish you had that data. So get it in the system now. And don't forget that culture wins. You got to nurture it. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I know you've got a whole busy day today, but thank you so much. Questions, comments, complaints?
Nice shoes, George.
Like those? All right, thank you.